So you want to be able to create content without spending hours and hours doing it. Hi, I'm Bev Roberts, and today I want to talk to you about the opportunity there is when you really understand your ideal client, their problems and their needs. And what we're going to do is to find a way to ensure that you are be able to achieve content creation quickly, even if you think that you can't be consistent. So the first way I want to discuss is how you can use what I call the 5 W's to get clear on what it is that you want to write. So know what to write with the 5 W's. So the 5 W's is why, who, where, when, and which one did I leave out? What? Okay, what? There we go. So if we ask these as a series of questions to ourselves and we order them in a certain way, you can actually get to the heart of what it is that you need to write about that would be compelling reading for your ideal client. And it's not just reading. We can think of opportunities to create open questions, short and long form content. We can also do things like quizzes, opt-ins, all types of things. So this is where it flows from. So the first question you want to ask, and you need to be clear on this before you do anything else, is who is this for? If you are clear on your ideal client in this situation, what is the specific person and traits? You know, what are their traits that you're looking for? And when you get specific, you can speak right to that, because when you speak generally and broadly, you end up speaking to nobody. So what you're wanting to do is really target in. So once you know that, your next question is, what do they think the problem is? And you need to know this in their language, not in your coaching or practitioner language. So the first thing there to look at is, have you done some market research? Have you recorded how they phrase things? Have you done perhaps even some surveys? I don't use surveys anymore as much as I used to, because the way we speak is a little different to the way we write. And what we want is to capture that speech in motion, so rather than in writing. And once you know that, what do they think the problem is? And what you're really trying to dig down into here is not so much the pain of what they focused on, is more, where would they rather be? You know, so how they describe the problem could be procrastination, but where would they rather be? Would they rather be productive? You know, so thinking of the juxtaposition of that. And then, why is this important to them? People do not take action on things they do not find a priority. So what we need to do is to find the importance of this problem. What would make it worth solving this problem? And to think of it from, you know, walking a moment in their shoes. And then we look at, where does this show up? So we want to consider the things like the thought process they use, the feelings they have, the behaviors they display, and the mindset. You know, so the mindset is not visible, and it could be impacting their life or their business or both. So what we want to do is to try and understand it. And these things where it shows up are the symptoms rather than the root cause. So we're still sort of skating a little on the surface here. And then look at, what do you need to help them understand? So what do I need to help them understand is the question you would ask yourself. And you may need to bust some myths. You may need to address what's getting in the way of them moving forward. It's all the things that actually, where they are right now, it's just trying to understand that and creating a bridge to where they need to be. So that's the opportunity that you've got there, is help. What do I need to help them understand? Well, they're over here, and to get to this point of, let's say this is the island of pain, this is the island of pleasure. How do I get them across that? What's my bridge for this? And then look at what resistance do they have in solving the problem. What I find really fascinating with this is that there's often unconscious benefits of staying stuck where you are. For example, if I start a newsletter and then I'm stuck having to create content and of value all the time. So the resistance there is twofold. I don't know what to write. And the second part is I don't have the time. But if you knew what to write, you could easily make the time. Then another question, and I think this is the last one I would use, would be, when will this problem be resolved? So if you are thinking, you know, from a services point of view, that your journey to transformation is what they truly need and want, but it's not a quick fix. You need to paint the picture of what the first few steps even, how does that give them relief from their current problem so that they taste success and then they know how to move forward. So if you use those questions as a framework, what we next do is really important. You can now create content pillars that save you not only time, but also energy. The effort of thinking up what to write is gone because you will do this, repeat this set of questions, these 5W questions, repeat them at least 4 times so that you've got 4 specific problems that you can actually do a deeper dive on. And the deeper dive is write down 3 to 5 topics you could create content on for each one of those 4 pillars. So brainstorm, you know, those 3 to 5 things first. Don't make it over, you know, you could go make it bigger, but let's start right now so that you can get moving. The next thing is to create a document to capture all this information. So I like a 1-page table, and I have, you know, a square for each particular problem so that I know that all the 5 W's, and then I jot down the 3 to 5 things that I want to talk about. And so once you've captured it, it starts to make it easier to see which particular solution would help that person where, you know, where you start to write. And then think of, so you've got 3 to 5 if you've just focused on the first problem. Think of the types of content you could write. So if we think of short form posts with an image, we could create long form posts, including blogs. So it could be blog, or it could be what I call a vlog, video and a blog written in one. So you've got the video up top and then the content below. And think of other things like quizzes or opt-ins, you know, all of those kind of things. So you've got different kinds of opt-ins too. You've got static opt-ins, which is a download, an ebook, a quiz. And then you've got live opt-ins, so webinars, masterclasses, free training. So you've got a gambit of stuff that you could possibly create content around. And then consider how you could repurpose each piece of content. So for example, when you write a newsletter, you might feel that that is unique value to your audience. But however, it kind of really sparks something that means that if you were to send that out in a blog, it would also have traction. And then review those content pillars from time to time and keep adding ideas to your 3 to 5 original ideas. And again, looking at what forms of content those could create. And then your next step, which is really vital, is focusing on implementing this framework, because we know that what you focus on expands, right? So what we want to do there is you've got this framework and you can create content. So if you were only to do 3 in each area, you have already got 12 content ideas to go and write on. And it's more than that, because You may write it as a blog, but you could take snippets from that blog and make short form posts. You could do quotes from your own work and add those in. You could take some questions. So it expands. So what the original idea actually expands. So you're not doing more work, you're actually allowing the idea to expand. And you can achieve consistent content quickly, even if consistency isn't your strength. Because your next step is to schedule regular slots in your calendar. And once they're in your calendar, you're putting the framework into action, because what you're wanting to do is to be in creation mode in one session, and then a separate session for what I would call the difference between right brain creation and left brain is the kind of doing the structure, the getting it out into the world. So putting a blog on your website or putting a long form post on Facebook, scheduling it, all those kind of things. And then I would take it one step further. If you can see that some of that content really resonates with your audience, take one central idea from one of those problems and create an opt-in that addresses one of those 4 pillars. And that's going to get your list growing so you can get the insight you need to keep expanding it. I hope that's helpful, but I really want to know, what opt-in are your ideal clients ready for now? Leave a comment below. Can't wait to read what you've got to say. Bye for now.